Now, Fred has spoken really well of Scrooge, and there's a lot of games and festivities, and Scrooge watching it really kind of like when he's watching Fezziwig, he kind of craves to be involved. And so they're watching a game. It was a game called Yes and No, where Scrooge's nephew had to think of something, and the rest must find out what it is, and he could only answer yes or no. The brisk firing of questions in which he was exposed elicited from him that he was thinking of an animal. Look at this great list, all the questions. A live animal, a disagreeable animal, a savage animal, an animal that growled and grunted sometimes and talked sometimes and lived in London and walked about the streets and wasn't made a show of and wasn't led by anybody and didn't live in a menagerie and was never killed in a market and was not a horse or an ass or a cow or a bull or a tiger or a dog or a pig or a cat or a bear. Wow, what a sentence. You get the whole game there. And of course we know we're talking about Scrooge. This nephew burst into a fresh roar of laughter and was so inexpressibly tickled that he was obliged to get up off the sofa. So, we get this game, questions, description of Scrooge equals animal. Right. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. What is it? It's your Uncle Scrooge, which it certainly was. Admiration was the universal sentiment, though some objected that the reply, is it a bear, ought to have been yes. Okay, so there's a joke. He's actually a bear. That's how bad he is. So they didn't think it was fair what they were doing. To have diverted their thoughts from Mr. Scrooge, supposing they had ever had any tendency that way. He was given us plenty of merriment, I am sure, and I would be ungrateful not to drink his health. Here is a glass of mulled wine ready to our hand at the moment, and I say Uncle Scrooge. Now this is important. Just like Fred, he toasts him. There's love there. And they agree, Uncle Scrooge. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, wherever he is. He wouldn't take it from me, but may he have it nonetheless. Oh, he wouldn't take it from me. Uncle Scrooge had imperceptibly become so gay and light of... Oh my gosh, look, it's affecting him. It's affecting him now. Gay here, happy, light of heart, joyful. He would have pledged the unconscious company in return and thanked them in an inaudible speech if the ghost had given him time. They have to go. But the whole scene passed off in a breath of the last words spoken by his nephew, and he and the sparrow were again off on the travels. The present goes, it evaporates, it's fleeting, it goes away. He doesn't get a chance to make it stop. He wishes he could speak. He loves these people. He seems like he's found a way to be in the world, but he's taken away, and it's time. I'm skipping all the parts where he sees the rest of England, but part of those parts are important because in seeing all of England and all the celebration of the present, we see that it isn't just the people he knows, but actually the whole country is celebrating and happy. Now we're at the end, and we see this poor ghost. The ghost of Christmas Present only lives for a night. Present dies immediately. And underneath his robe are these two kind of creatures that are worth looking at. I think they're really interesting. It was a long night, if it were only a night, but Scrooge had his doubts about this. He must have been traveling for days, he feels, because the Christmas holidays appeared to be condensed in the space of the time that they passed together. So time is really weird. Well, it's not that weird, but it's strange with this, the way time works with the ghosts and the gothic and in this novel that's worth looking at. It was strange too that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older. Scrooge had observed this change but never spoke of it until they left a children's 12th night party, when looking at the spirit as they stood together in an open place, he noticed that his hair was gray. So he's aging really fast. Are your lives so short? Yeah, it's short, brief, It ends tonight. Tonight I'm going to die. The present dies. Tonight at midnight. Hark, the time is drawing near. The present dies. The past exists forever as these shadows. The present dies. The future, there can be many multiple futures. Ghostly, deathly futures. The chimes are ringing the 11:15 at that moment. Forgive me if I'm not justified in what I asked, but I see something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw? Now, when I first... Look, his manners have changed, Scrooge's. When I first read this, I thought this was a creature coming out, and actually it's two kids' feet. It may be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it. Look here. From the foldings of his robe it brought two children. Look at these children. Wretched, abject, frightful, hideous, miserable. Again, we get these great lists in Dickens. They are they're poor, they're downtrodden, they look horrible and frightening. They clung. Maybe they're fearful too, clinging. Oh man, look here, look down here. They were a boy and a girl, yellow, meager, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate too in their humility. Whoa! Just amazing description. They are humble. They're like they feel lower, but they're kind of monstrous as well. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints, a stale and shriveled hand like that of age had pinched, twisted them, pulled them into shreds. This is poverty, and the vision of poverty on their body. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked, glared out menacing. No change, no degradation, no perversion of humanity in any grade through all the mysteries of wonderful creation has monsters half so horrible and dread. This is poverty. This is what it means. This is a demonic force, something childlike again, but frightening and brutal, ripped apart by time. Scrooge stared back, appalled. He's disgusted. Having them shown to him in this way, he tried to say that they were fine children, but the words choked themselves. He's lying. You can't lie. Rather than be parties to a lie of such enormous magnitude. You cannot pretend, okay, that these are horrible visions. There's nothing, Dickens can be accused of a lot, but he's not going to pretend that poverty is fine. He may do so elsewhere. Maybe you could argue with the Cratchits, but here we see real deprivation symbolized in these children. Are they yours? No, they're man's. And they cling to the present, appealing for their fathers. One is ignorance, not knowing. The other is want or desire. Okay, so you have ignorance, not knowing. Like we claim ignorance. We didn't know that people were starving. Want is just the need, really, of people. Beware them both and all of their degrees, but most beware this boy, for on his brow I can see that written which is doom. Ignorance, to not know, means there will be doom. We are destined for failure. We have to know what's going on. That's what I'm doing in this novel. That's what I'm doing in my writing. I'm trying to make you, England, look at the poverty in front of you and the greed. Unless the writing be erased, deny it. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to erase ignorance. You're going to have to erase want, Scrooge. Slander those who tell it ye, admit it for your facetious purposes and make it worse, and by the end. Have they no refuge or resource? Don't they have anything? Don't they have any chance or help or anything? And here comes his words fed back to him again. The poor laws Remember this. Aren't there prisons? Weren't those your own words? What about the workhouses? Again, feeding his own words and arguments. Good technique, Ghost, to help him see those ideas he had, ridiculous, these monstrous figures. But the worst one is ignorance, because if we pretend like we don't know, we are destined to ruin our society. And this is the end of the present. And towards the end of the stave, we see an image, a dark one, approaching Scrooge. And this silent, deadly ghost in stave 4 shows us the Christmases yet to come.